What's up, guys? Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with the OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you're new, appreciate you tuning in. Listen to me ramble about these workouts. If you find value in them, information is in the description to support me. And as always, if you have any feedback, I would love to hear it, just so I could make adjustments, evolve, change, and help you out. Today, we're going to talk about Sunday, November 16th. This workout does not repeat. It's an ESP 30-30 day, and we'll talk about the 2G, and then we'll talk about the 3G, and then wrap it on up. So for key concepts today, on the treads, we have 3 blocks: strength, power, endurance, in that order. But one goal: work harder as the recovery gets longer. On the floor in the rower, we have 3 blocks there: heavyweight in block 1, power rowing in block 2, and high reps for endurance in block 3. You'll need benches out, and of course, dumbbell straps, all that stuff. So even though the workout is titled as ESP, because that's what members are familiar with in terminology, it's actually an SPE style workout, because you'll start with strength, then go into power, then while they're fatigued, then try to hit that endurance, which I personally love, because it really challenges members to see how their endurance really is. Because doing endurance first while you're fresh, different ball game compared to after 15 minutes or even after 45 minutes of work already. All right, so when you look at the workout here, blocks 1, 2, and 3, the time durations for everything is exactly the same, with one small change. So block 1, 6.5 minutes, 90-second recovery. Block 2, another 6.5 minutes. The interval durations are exactly the same, just what they're doing is different. 90-second walk recovery, back to base at the end of that. And then the final block, it's 7 minutes, but all you're doing is adding an extra all out at the very end. Prior to that, everything else is the same. So block 1, the goal is to maintain base speed as the incline goes up. So every hill gets higher but shorter. Every flat road base gets longer. Okay. Each paired effort is 2 minutes. So you'll start with a 75-second base climb, 45-second base, then 1 minute, 1 minute, then they're flipped, 45, 75, and then a bonus 30-second effort. So that's how every block is kind of set up there. So power walkers, they're going to start at 7% incline or greater. Joggers and runners, they're going to be at a 5% incline at that base speed. And then for the bikes and striders, for that first block, we want them to alternate between a push gear and a base gear. You could also increase that push gear on the 3rd or 4th round. Okay, so I would have them start at least 3 gears over base, because that's going to feel very similar to that 75-second base climb at 5 for the joggers and runners. After that, they have 45 seconds of flat road. Every hill goes up by 1%. So the second hill for 1 minute is now 8% for power walkers. Joggers and runners are at 6. For the bikes and striders, keep it 3 gears or add a gear. Okay. After that, 1 minute recovery, flat road. Next one, power walkers at 9, joggers, runners at 7. If bikes and striders increased on the last one, let's maintain. If they maintained last time, let's definitely bump it up now by 1. Okay. After that 45-second hill climb, we go back to base one last time, flat road for 75, and then we finish with a 30-second hill climb. And this is going to be similar to like a push all out feeling, almost all out. Power walkers, they're going to be at 10% incline or greater. Joggers and runners are at 8%. Bikes and striders, see if they can get to at least 4, if not 5 gears over base. Okay. And then they have 90 seconds to catch your breath, back to base when they're ready. Now, block 2, this is the power block. They're going to start 75-second push all out into a 45 walk recovery. And then we'll see 1 minute, 45, 30-second all outs with the increase in walk recoveries that we saw in the previous block. So for that push all out, power walkers, 6 to 10%. You could keep them right in the middle. Hey, let's start at 8% incline. And then joggers and runners, closer to like that 1.5 up to 2 miles an hour over their base speed. Bikes and striders, either 4 or 5 gears over base. You could also approach it like, hey, whatever it felt like in the last hill climb, let's use that gear to start off with. Okay. After that, we got 45 seconds to catch your breath. Now we go into an all out 10% or greater for power walkers, joggers, and runners. If they're not there already, 2 miles per hour or more over their base. And then for the bikes, striders, definitely 6 gears over base from this point onwards. Okay. Walk recoveries get longer, all outs get shorter. Hopefully, we see those peaks and valleys of that heart rate response. As always, it does take about 10 to 20 seconds of that all out duration before the heart rate starts catching up. And then once we finish that all out, we take it to the walk, it keeps climbing for a moment before then it starts dropping off with that delayed effect and response. The final block is endurance. The goal here is increased push intensity. So this will be very similar for the bikes and striders. Start at 3 gears and then add a gear or maintain just like before. Power walkers, they have 6% incline or greater for the first 2, and then 8% or greater for the second 2 flat road pushes. So their increase of intensity could be incline, it could also be speed. Joggers and runners, obviously looking to bump up 0.1 or more. So start off with a nice midline push, about 1 up to 1.5 over their base. That way they have some wiggle room to add on. And the same time stamps. Now, the big difference here is after that 75-second base, they have that 30-second push, and then that leads them into a 30-second all out. Then they're done. Okay, so power walkers are going from 8 back to 10% or greater for that final 30. Bikes and striders, they're probably at 5 gears over base during that 30 push. So now let's go 6 gears or more. And then joggers and runners, depending on where they started on that push and how many, if they were able to add, they might be very close to that point, 2 miles an hour over the base. They might be like 1.8 or so. So let's hit at least 2, if not more. Because keep in mind, this last all out is at the very end. So it's after doing 22 and a half minutes of pretty tough stuff. So that all out might not be like a massive speed increase, but it should be enough to get very uncomfortable. Now, when we look on the weight floor side, strength, then power, and then endurance. Okay, strength block, you're going to have bench, seated, shoulder press to stand. So from that seated position, press overhead, lower down, and then it's basically like a front rack squat from that position. We'll stand up, control back down. So the weight choice is going to be based off of the shoulder press, because obviously people could squat more than they could shoulder press. So if they go off of a squat weight, they will not be able to get an overhead unless their squat is extremely weak. And that's a whole other topic. After that, they rest, and then we're going to see deadlift to low row. Same idea. You need to pick a weight for the upper body. Common complaints will be like, well, I could deadlift way more, so why can't I just, separate the movements? You could, but also the intention is by having these 2 different movement patterns put together, not only are you challenging your hamstrings, your posterior chain, your upper back, this is a grip strength because you're having to essentially double the amount of time you are holding onto that weight. So even though your legs are going to be able to handle it, your forearms probably won't. And that's going to be the challenge there. Now, if you have people who are unable to deadlift, maybe because of exercise restrictions or orthopedic reasons, you can split up that, have them do glute bridges by itself, and then go into like the strap low row so they're not hinged over. Because if they do have lower back problems and they can't deadlift, then that lower back problem is just going to be aggravated even more in a hinged position, or they were just lying to you. But anyways, numbers never lie. They just tell half truths. Block 2. This is going to be done over at the rowers. They'll need 1 dumbbell, something for the tricep extension overhead. They'll be doing a total of 12 reps. So more on the light to moderate weight choice at most, because there's also a factor of balance involved. They'll stand on 1 leg, tricep extension for 6, switch the legs, and then do another 6. After that, 150-meter all-out row, back to back. They rest, then they do those 2 again. And the goal is to match or beat the row time. With 6.5 minutes here between the movement and the row, at least 2 rounds, possibly a 3rd round of the dumbbell work. They might get a 3rd round in that row if they start like as soon as you explain it and get them over there. If they start when you launch the treads on that first push all out, they might only get through 2 rounds between doing the exercise, transitioning onto the rower, getting off the rower. It eats up a lot of time. Okay, now the final block for the endurance, it's going to be a decrease in rep count of 4 different movements. Okay, they're going to start off with a full alternate and step up to hammer curl for 20 total reps. So starting on the floor, they'll take left foot up, right foot up. From there, they hit the hammer curl, right foot down, left foot down. That's 1. Next rep, right, left, curl, left, right. There's 2. Okay, so 20 hammer curls, that's going to be the decision maker on the weight choice. After that, they have 16 strap bridge row. So between hammer curls and bridge row, grip is going to be on fire already. Then we're going to see a push-up to a high plank, that rotation. Next rep, other side. And then finally, bench, sit-up to squat jump. So from that flat bench, they're going to go all the way back. If people struggle to sit up, let them know that they could take their feet and pinch the sides of the bench to help weigh down their legs and make it easier to get to that setup. The other thing you could also have them do is quickly switch the bench to an incline position so they're not going as far back. So that's going to reduce that range of motion for the sit-up to make it easier. Once they finish that 8-rep movement there, they are now on the bonus where they pick whichever of their favorite from the 4, and they'll just repeat those movements at 8 reps until the finisher, burpees. Just the regular burpee, so no push-up, but you do have the jump at the top. So just keep that in mind. All right, now looking at the 3G, we're going to see a total of 3 blocks on the treads and on the rowers, and then on the weight floor, we have 2 blocks. Now, treads and rowers are timed up the entire time, and it's the same format as the 2G, so strength, then power, then endurance. For the strength side on the treads, they essentially drop the first round of work from every block. So 4-minute block, 1-minute walk recovery, 4-minute block, 1-minute walk recovery, and then 4.5-minute block to finish up. They'll start off with a 1-minute base climb, 45 base, and then 45 base climb, 1-minute base, 30-second uphill base. So now the paired intervals are going to be 1:45 instead of 2 minutes. Just like before, power walkers 8% or greater, joggers, runners are at 6. Bikes and striders probably do 3 gears. The next round do 4, and then the last round do 5. Okay. Once they finish that 30-second base climb, 1 minute to walk, back to base if they're ready. Then we go into power. No push all out. It just right to a 1-minute, 45, and a 30-second all out. And of course, walk recoveries will start at 45, then 1 minute. And then after that 30 all out, you have 1 minute to recover before you go into block 3. And now endurance focus, flat road push base combos, 1 minute followed by a 45 base, 45 push, 1 minute base, 30 push, 30 all out. And then they are done. Now for the rowers, we are going to keep them at a 22 to 26 stroke rate, but they are also doing a 4-minute row for distance essentially. So we want them to do a stored program for 4 minutes. Make sure they keep their stroke rate within that range. And they're going to alternate between push and base timed up with the treads. Okay, so when the treads are going uphill for their base climb, rowers are going to push row. When the treads are flat road, rowers are at base. Just like on the workout the day before, when it comes between like push and base with this, you could use stroke rate. You could also use the leg drive rate of perceived exertion, right? So if they're doing that push row like at 26 strokes per minute, their base row probably 24 to 22. So we do see that kind of tempo change between those 2 efforts. The leg drive, maybe they keep their stroke rate the same all the way through. They're holding 24 strong, and then they just drive harder back on the push. They drive less intense on the base, but they keep that same tempo. Block 2, increase all-out row intensity. So all-out recovery row, all-out recovery row, all-out. They could do the stored programs again if they want to, totally fine, or just reset out every interval, but no need to do like stored programs for this one. Now the final block, it's 4.5 minutes. There is no stored program for that one. So before they start that first minute push row, they're going to make sure to tap new interval to reset everything back to 0. And then it's just like block 1, but now they have an uncapped stroke rate. So they could go lower than 22, they could go higher than 26 if they want to, but they'll be timed up with the treads, push base, push base, push, and then a 30-second all out. Now for the weight floor side, block one is the strength work. We're going to see the 3 different combination movements, anywhere from 6 to 10 reps. So seated shoulder press to stand, deadlift to low row, and then the balance overhead tricep extension, 3 to 5 per side. So still 6 to 10 reps. Okay. After each movement, they should rest and then go again. Depending on their weight choices and how long they rest and recover, we will see at least 3-ish rounds. Because if you think about people taking around a minute or so for a movement and some recovery, one round is going to be around 3 minutes, and they have 9 minutes. Okay. And then the floor block number 2, it is that rep chipper, but we start with lower reps. So now instead of starting at 20, they'll start at 16 for the step up hammer curl, 12 bridge rows, 8 push up to side high side plank, and then 4 sit up to squat jumps. And then just same bonus as doing the favorite movements for 8 reps, and they finish with 30 seconds of burpees. This was a very long video for a workout that has only been done once this month. So there you have it. Coach it down.